Selena Gomez, as you know, we covered her new video for Fetish. Woody Allen, whether you know him or not, he's a filmmaker who's been around a long time, and he's been, throughout his year, given myriad awards, but also been shrouded in a lot of controversy, including the alleged molestation of his daughter, named, what is her name? Dylan Farrow, in 1992. It was reported and recently came out in more detail, in addition to his wife being his adopted daughter, Soon Yi, which is a very creepy, creepy story that we'll also talk about. People are upset with Selena and with Woody Allen because after 13 Reasons Why came out and was so successful, people are tweeting things like, why is Selena Gomez working with a rapist? And beyond disappointed that Selena Gomez would put such an emphasis on how horrible rape is in 13 Reasons Why, then work with a rapist director. Thoughts, 5 words or less.
Good for you, I guess.
Selena. Really? 13 Reasons Why?
It'll blow over as always.
Not worth it for her. Not worth it.
You don't think?
So here's the thing, Woody Allen is, I took a class in college called Woody Allen in Film. He makes like a movie a year. He is one of the rare comedic writer, directors, actors whose film won Best Picture, Annie Hall. So he is this like very revered filmmaker and like an old standby, one of the Hall of Famers in filmmaking. And so a lot of actors are tempted to be in his films, but do you think Selena Gomez should take this role, even admit the juxtaposition of her being in 13 Reasons Why, and then knowing that he is a
being an executive producer on 13 Reasons Why, because she didn't actually appear
being involved in.
Right. Okay, so for me, I think there are just a couple things to consider. And one is the presumption of innocence for Woody Allen, because there have never been any charges filed against him, and there's nothing been proven in a court of law. That also goes hand in hand with compassion for Dylan Farrow, who wrote a letter in 2014, open letter in the New York Times. So both of those two things can exist, and I think that this just sort of comes down to where an individual weighs their options, where they fall. Unfortunately for Selena Gomez, there isn't really a precedent to be set for actors siding with Dylan Farrow and not working with him. We're talking about like Emma Stone, Miley Cyrus, Scarlett Johansson. So if she's just acting purely on the precedent of her other actor peers, then she's deciding to work with him under that presumption of innocence because he has not been proven guilty. That being said, we absolutely can still have compassion for Dylan Farrow, and I think that we should still be having these conversations about what happens. Like, are we not listening to Dylan Farrow? Is there anything that can be done? Like, I don't know how you respond, and I also don't think that we should be hold Selena Gomez to a higher standard than all these other people that have acted in his movies here.
Right, I agree. You're right, Grace. I am on the side of, well, as you said, we don't know what happened if he raped her or molested her or not. We don't know. So I think that Selena Gomez, as we've talked about before, she's progressing and evolving as an artist, not just a pop star. She's wanting to do more with her career. So I don't think the powers that be or Selena Gomez's team is going to align her with someone who's going to be bad for her reputation and bad for her image. With that said, I think it would be fantastic for Selena Gomez to appear in this movie because she doesn't need to. She's more than like I said, just a pop star. I read the article in the New York. It was the New York Times, right? Correct. Of Dylan Farrow, and it's very harrowing. She really goes into deep detail about what happened to her. But then you have other people saying, "Well, Mia Farrow was just making her say all these things against Woody Allen." So no one really knows. And I think that should be left alone. And let's just talk about why Selena wants to be in this movie to further her career.
Right. But okay. But that's where the rubber meets the road. It's like she knows, and Woody Allen, like Roman Polanski, these are people who are thought of as really amazing filmmakers who are shrouded in controversy.
Shady as
I mean, the way that Woody Allen describes his relationship with his now wife / former adopted daughter, Soon Yi, is some of the creepiest stuff you'll ever see.
Yeah.
It is like, I decided to give her the power to sometimes make decisions. I was a father figure to her. I was a very paternal thing, and now we're married. It is so creepy. Now, your point is these other people have not been held to the same level of scrutiny. Why should Selena? I don't know if I buy into that because like just because other people have done it, it seems unfair to Selena, but it doesn't seem unfair to ask the question, should she do it?
And I'm not saying it's unfair.
Right.
I'm just saying that we should, why wasn't, Miley Cyrus is another person who is heralded as being a feminist icon, a young feminist millennial. And there wasn't as much of a backlash, at least that I can recall. Maybe there were these articles that came out, but not to the extent that we're seeing with Selena Gomez. And I'm not saying that it's unfair. I'm just saying if we're asking the question of Selena Gomez, then let's ask the question of like, why is it coming up now in 2017? We should have been talking about this when things were going down in 1993, 1992, and
then in 2014 when he wrote his tell-all.
Right, and then you talk about it, but there's this huge gap in time. Let's hold people accountable consistently.
Yeah, fine, that's it. I get it. There's a discussion about consistency, and there's a discussion about like the issue at hand. Consistency can get you super frustrated, and it's right to call out people when they're being hypocritical. But then you also have to focus on like, okay, that aside. It's kind of like, but what about this? But what about that? Okay, forget that. Sure, you're right. What about that? But on this hand, what you're saying is, and it seems pretty obvious that he has done super sketchy stuff with people over whom he has undeniable power, i.e. his adopted daughter, he quote unquote seduced. Then once you accept that, you're saying there is a certain level of fame a person can acquire that indemnifies them against something super duper shitty. And if you're Selena Gomez, you have just made the decision that I am going to go and be in Woody Allen's movie because he's good enough at making movies that I'm willing to overlook it. Amir, what do you think?
I don't know if I'm buying this whole idea that you can't be in a movie because of what Woody Allen did. This is still an opportunity for her to develop her craft at the end of the day, and it's gonna go on her resume that she was in this movie, and it's about her. I don't think in a few years people are gonna look back and be like, oh my God, she was in this Woody Allen movie. No, they're gonna be like, this was Selena Gomez and how she performed in this film.
That's the point I was trying. That's the point I was trying to illustrate.
And it's happened over and over again in the past. There is like this level of controversy that comes, and then it blows over every single time.
Yeah, well, I think if there's one thing we can all sort of agree on is that this, with all controversy surrounding Woody Allen, it doesn't really seem to stick to him. So this is gonna blow over. Well, it kind of does within certain circles, but most people
are working with unsavory actors and film directors all the freaking time. Who's that one photographer that Miley Cyrus has done?
Oh,
the creep.
Richardson.
Not Richard Simmons.
No, it's something Richardson.
I don't know, but I know that
Terry Richardson.
Terry Richardson. And they continue to work with him because at the end of the day, like this guy has a creative mind, and it's gonna give them an opportunity to shine.
Yeah, but then again, it is so.
You can still criticize Woody Allen for all this fucked up shit that he did, but I don't. What's the point of not taking this opportunity?
What's the point? The point is to send a message. To say no, I'm not going to work with you because I don't agree with everything that you do. That's not your job. Like, I don't agree with what you did to those people. And I don't think you should be rewarded for your craft if part and parcel to this person that creates this stuff that people love is so dysfunctional that it has, ostensibly like ruined your daughter and ruined Sun Yi, like to a point where it's like Stockholm syndrome, who knows?
Then we need to apply that rule across the board to everyone who's done something terrible in their lives. And not just Woody Allen.
I don't buy that because like there's different levels of terrible.
There is different levels of terrible, but there's some actors who we all know have been in domestic abuse scandals and they've beaten their wives in the past and they've apologized.
Well, there's a difference. There's the difference because Woody Allen doesn't seem to think that there's anything wrong with.
I think there hasn't really been any sort of admission of guilt or even his response to Dylan's letter, because he wrote another open letter in the New York Times. It's your daughter. It's still the whole thing is very unsettling. And I think that there is a difference between someone that's done something wrong and has acknowledged like, hey, I messed up and I'm trying to make myself better. And then people continuing to work with that person. And again, like I said, I don't know where I land on this because the precedent is so strange for Selena Gomez to follow.
It's terrible and his feet should be held to the fire. I don't think any of these movies that he's making and he's a part of, they're even remotely about him as much as they're about the other people that are part of them, like
What?
Selena Gomez. I think these movies are.
Because okay, I get it. But there's always, I thought you meant like the movie is definitely always about a Woody Allen type character.
His relevancy has just diminished over time. He continues to make movies, but he brings on these people that are much bigger than him.
Well, Woody Allen is a master of consistency and inconsistency at the same time.
Yeah.
He makes the same movie over and over and over again, and only like 17% of them are good.
And on it, maybe we are missing something that artists continue to work with him. They continue to work with him.
Right.
So it was things that he wrote in his open letter where I naively thought the accusation would be dismissed out of hand because of course. Not that I doubt Dylan hasn't come to believe she's been molested, but if from the age of 7 a vulnerable child is taught by a strong mother to hate the father because he is a monster who abused her, is it so inconceivable that after many years of this indoctrination and image of me and Mia wanted to establish had taken root? I mean, I don't know. That's an okay.
That is an unsubtlingly good impression.
I'm not going to get into this because I read this a while ago, but Woody Allen has one of the best publicists in the industry, and she's very good at her job. And there was this tell-all a few years ago in a good publication that kind of goes over all of it. So I would recommend everyone read into that.
Yeah.
And kind of like see the politics at play and why he continues.
There definitely are politics at play, for sure.
I'm glad we had this conversation because I honestly I don't know still. I took some very strong sides throughout this discussion, but I still don't know how I feel about it. I just like went to bat for certain approaches.
Yeah. I think we're still missing something that people continue to work with him despite all these controversial things that you would expect him to just be completely isolated.
So here's, go ahead.
But I think you illustrated the point I was trying to make earlier about Selena Gomez. Regardless of if Woody Allen did those things, at the end of the day, if you strip all that away and get to the creativity and the art, Selena Gomez being in a Woody Allen film, as you said, would be fantastic for her resume. It would be a definite step in the right direction to where I don't know where she's trying to go as far as her career, but if she's trying to evolve and grow her artistry, then yes, this is the right step. Now, we can all have personal opinions about if he molested Dylan, if he didn't. I don't know, I wasn't there. So don't you guys all say, well, I don't know where I land on this. Well, I feel the only place you can land on this is that we don't know, but the facts are Selena's gonna be in this movie.
Right, yeah, I get it. I think you touch on something very important, which is like it hasn't been proven in a court of law, though there was a settlement payment paid out. So you're not supposed to, after a settlement is paid out, determine whether there was guilt or innocence there, typically. I think there are actors and actresses and figures in entertainment who gravitate more toward messages of feminism, and those folks are held to a certain standard, rightly, of hypocrisy versus consistent behavior. And so I think Selena Gomez, with her participation in 13 Reasons Why, is one of them. And to make her feel better, it's probably not gonna be that good a movie. But then again, like I love a lot. I think he is unfairly funny.
Yeah.
His earlier funny ones are amazing. Like watch Bananas and
so good.
And he's undeniably talented all the way through like Manhattan and Annie Hall. Manhattan is about his attraction and relationship with like a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
It is this crazy genius that creates amazing stuff, but ruins folks along the way.
He invented being neurotic in that way.
Yeah, he's like a Jewish chaplain.
A whole generation of people like came out like behaving like him afterwards.
I mean, this is an amazing.
Not the molestation.